Hey YouTube, it's Marshmallow giving you a deck profile today. I'm going to be giving Chaos Agents, which is a pretty simple deck, a pretty fun deck, and a pretty effective deck. It's an old deck, but it's a lot of fun, and the best part about it to me is that it is cheap to make. There's only going to be 3 sections. You got your monsters, your spells, and your extra deck. You don't run any traps, unless you want to tack them into the side. But we're just going to jump right into this, and starting with the monsters. So obviously you run 3 Master Hyperion, best monster in the deck. You banish him. He's so easy to summon. Banish card, summon him. Banish card, destroy, and then attack for a lot of damage. He's just amazing. And you have 2 Agent Earth because she fetches out your Agent Venus. You run 3 of her. You want this card because this card wins you the game. It's that simple. This card lets you OTK on turn 2, and it lets you outlast till turn 10. This is how you win. Now with that Agent Venus, you have to run, unfortunately, 3 Shine Balls. It would be a lot better if these Shine Balls had an effect, but unfortunately they don't. And naturally this leads to dead draws. If you run this deck, you will draw hands where you draw 2 of these in your opener, and at that point you're just screwed. So what I do to try to minimize those dead draws is I run 2 Herald of Orange Light so that I can pitch these Shine Balls away and destroy a monster with it. And it's become pretty effective. I also run 1 Veiler. I think I would rather run 2 Veilers and a Herald. But again, Herald is also a lot cheaper than Veiler, so if you're trying to keep the deck cheap, this works pretty fine too. Another great thing about Herald is you can pitch your big monsters that you can't summon sometimes, like Archlord Christia. You run 1 Christia because 2 gets cloggy pretty fast, but a great combo is pitching Christia with Herald and then reborning Christia because you can do that because its special summon effect is optional, and that'll pretty much win you the game. If you can drop Christia on turn 1 by negating their effect, you pretty much win the game unless they dark hole you. And then you run 1 Honest because you have to. And then the last light monster in the deck is Thunder King Ryo. Because 1 Ryo, I took out a Plague Spreader to put in Ryo because Ryo impacts the game so much right now with the metagame as it is. And also, Plague Spreader is inconsistent, doesn't do enough. So moving on to your dark targets, you have 2 Tour Guide because you want to overlay. You can overlay into Golem or Zen Mains, whatever you want. It's a good Exceed and it's a dark target for your Chaos monsters. 2 Reaper because it also fixes dead hands by stalling out for you, and the hand destruction effect is really nice. It's also a dark target and a level 3, so there's just all kinds of synergy with the deck with it. You run double Trag because Tragodia is amazing, and he has so much synergy with this deck. He's a giant monster, which is pretty much the point of this deck. You can take their level 3s and make another big monster. You can just do so much with this guy. And also he's a hand trap to stop you from getting killed if they wipe your board. You also run 1 Gores for the same reasons as Trag. And ending the hand traps, you also run 2 Maxi because it's 2 Maxi. And agents kind of have to run hand traps because you don't interact with your opponent much, and the best way to do that in agents is with hand traps because normal traps are just too slow. So you gotta run all your hand traps. And then you run 1 Chaos Sorcerer because you're only allowed to run 1. And 1 BLS because you're only allowed 1 BLS. That's it for the monsters. I say that's it, but that's a lot, guys. That was 28 monsters in this deck. But they're pretty effective. They work well together. So moving on to the spells, I get a lot of heat for this one. Pot of Duality. A lot of people say that Pot of Duality shouldn't be ran in agents because you're not doing much if you're not special summoning on a turn. But also, like I said, agents are inconsistent. So you have to run these consistency cards so you can draw into the card you actually need. And if you have to wait a turn to play it, it's just one turn. You have your hand traps to stop you from dying. 3 MST, super important because agents die to back row. And when I say die, I mean that they're dead. If your opponent sets 3 cards and you don't have an MST and you don't have Heavy Storm, you're dead because they will stop all your plays and you can't do anything about it. Notice that these are commons and they're not pretty. I want to fix that. Get all the foils you can, guys, because they're pretty. 1 Book of Moon, because, again, it's a spell card that interacts with your opponent. It's just faster than your normal trap cards, but you have to be with agents. 1 Enemy Controller also helps fix the dead draws that you have Shine Ball with, because you can take a Draco Sack with this, and it's hilarious. Mind Control, almost the same as Enemy Controller. This also helps with OTKs. That's the big one with this one, is if they just played a card to stop you from OTKing, then you can take it. Creature Swap is amazing. You run all 3 of the creature steal cards in here just because you want them dead, and having their monsters on the field does not let you kill them. So you just want to run these cards, take their monsters, attack them for a lot of damage. And creature swapping a Shine Ball for their Big Eye or their Draco Sack or their Abyss Megalo, it's pretty hilarious. And then you run the Trinity, 1 Heavy, 1 Dark Hole, 1 Reborn. And that's it for the main deck. I'm not going to post a side deck because I don't have one in real life. And also, side decking depends a lot on the metagame wherever you're playing locally, and it also depends on your actual play style. My side deck for this online has Soul Drains and Mind Drains, has a lot of hate for E-Dragons. So now we're going to go on to the extra deck, which agents revolve around this extra deck. You cannot win without this extra deck. It's that simple. Well, I guess you can win if you just drop 3 Hyperions, but, you know, the extra deck, like I said, I told you Venus wins. This is why. So, 1 Mistborn. Incredible card. Bouncing a Draco Sack is hilarious. That's all I've got to say. 1 Stardust. Negating a Draco Sack is hilarious. 1 Scrap Dragon. 1 Black Rose. 1 Iron Chain. The reason I run Iron Chain is because I like to have 1 of every level. I'm definitely thinking about cutting him, but there are just some situations where I mind control your Bujin, your level 4 Bujin, and synchro with my agent and start doing damage to you, and it's pretty helpful. Catastor, obviously. Librarian. Armory Arm. Armory Arm is good because a lot of times you'll be able, if you can protect, say you have a Book of Moon in your hand on turn 1 and you turn 1 Agent Earth and set Book of Moon, if you protect your Agent Earth, you can get out a Daigusto Phoenix with 2500 attack next turn, which is very helpful. 1 Gemnite Pearl. You don't run a lot of 4s in the deck, but you know, in case you enemy controller a level 4 with an Honest in your hand or something, this could be pretty helpful. 1 Acid Golem, because he's a beat stick and a monster. The more damage you can do in this deck, the better. You want to be OTKing them, and this card helps you do it. 2 Zen Mains. Now, the reason I'm running 2 Zen Mains is because I don't own a Tempo. This card should be Tempo, guys. Get a Tempo and run it. It's that simple. 1 Dark Mist, because Dark Mist he's amazing if you can run over literally any monster and he starts getting huge. 1 Daigusto Phoenix, because you can OTK people by doing at least 3,000 damage. Like I said, with the Armory Arm, you do 5,000. And it automatically puts a Shine Ball in the grave, which is a target for Hyperion to start destroying stuff. Very good. And one Gotchi Gotchi if you're trying to survive. And that's the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.